Good morning, Michael here, and today I'm going into the randoms drawer because I want to do a video on it's not the largest collection, but my Dungeons and Dragons figures. So let's take them downstairs and have a look. So despite being an absolutely massive Dungeons and Dragons fan, I don't have all of the LJN figures. Most of these I got when I was very, very small, when I was like 4 or 5 in the early 80s. I collected these. So this is Grimskull's card from way back then. I have a few of the cards knocking around as well. I always wanted the Fortress of Fangs. One of my friends from school had that. I was very, very jealous. But I have to say, I never really remember seeing any of these in the wild, in the toy shops at all. I just know that I had a selection of the figures. They were very, very cool. Now, my figures are a mixture of battle-matic action ones with a lever on the back, very similar to Thundercats. But some of mine are also the earlier ones from '83 that don't have the battle-matic action. So, very briefly, so that's the battle-matic action, and then you move that, and in theory, the character does an action. But I'm not going to do it for all of them because I'm always worried with these older figures that they're going to snap and break. But here's my first one. It's the leader of the good guys. This is Strongheart, and he's a good paladin according to the back of the card. So we'll put him there. Sword very, very bent over time. Would have had a cape, should have had a cape. Don't know where his cape has gone. And then the next one I've got here is, this is Ringalung, the Good Wizard. Now, if I move this back, as you can see, this one doesn't have a battle-matic action part because this is actually from one of the earlier waves they did. Got a staff there, the Good Wizard. Put them there. I'll do all the goodies first, I suppose. And then this is Melf. Melf the Elf. Should have had a cape. Green cape on the back, very, very elfy. I do like the face, even though I've got a little bit of wear to the nose. And I do really like the shield. Got the bow, should have had a little dagger as well. But for whatever reason, I can't find it. I actually think it's in the He-Man Spares box. So put Melf there. Now, what I do find with these Dungeons and Dragons figures, they're a little bit tacky. They're a little bit sticky. And I don't know if it's the paint they use, because actually my June figures and my Thundercats figures don't have the same problem. So this one's also not battle-matic, but they did bring out a battle-matic version. This is Elkhorn, the dwarf, who has a shield, which I'm reluctant to try to fit in, and sword. There you go. Elkhorn, the dwarf. And the good guys were my favourites. I really liked them. Now, this is a slightly later one. This is from '84. This is Beaumark, who's also a paladin. And the later ones started to come with more weapons than they could hold. So this is actually the sword as well. And then similar to the June figures, it's got a little lever in the side that you push in and goes for like a choppy knife action. So let's put Beaumark there. And then this is Death, and she is a female warrior. Sellsword for hire. Still have the cape for this one. Really, really cool shield. Should have also had a little sword, very similar to Elkhorn's, but I can't find it. And I like this, the mace or flail. Drop that in there. And then this giant one is Northlord. And they also would have come out in a battle-matic version, but this is actually the original one that came out. So comes with very cool helmet, very cool shield, which I will try to, actually I'm not going to do it, because instead I will give them big sword and big sword and big axe. But what I do think is interesting is just how ginormous the helmet is. How are they supposed to wear that into battle? I don't think the axe is going to stay in, so we'll just put that to one side. There we go, absolutely huge. So these were the good guys. There was also a good female cleric and a couple of other of the bigger figures as well. Plus, obviously, there were a couple of monsters, the Hook Horror. There were mounts from to ride. Some of them came with a mount. But these were all my original carded figures. So these are the good guys. And then if I take these away, I'll do the villains. This is the first one. This is Warduke the Evil Fighter. Again, battle-matic action. If I just... Oh, it's going to be the shield, is it? Okay. So do that. Shield goes up and down. So there's Warduke. Very, very cool. And this is, I want to say, Karak. And they're an evil half-orc. So I feel sorry for this character because I think they get a bit of a bum deal. No battle-matic, but there is a battle-matic version. Comes with a little knife, half orc, half human. And then I'm going to struggle to get the staff in with this one, so I'm not going to bother. But this is Kelek, the evil sorcerer. So I'm going to put them there. Really, really like the Illuminous staff. Super, super cool. Now this is Grimskull. Again, battle-matic. If I lift this arm up, if I push this in, oh, it should twist, might be too old. Nope, not going to force it. Really, really cool shield. And then had this would have been a Morning Star, would have had a chain and a red ball on the end, but that has been lost since I've been a child. And then here have the evil, I'm going to say Zorga, and that's a barbarian. Cool little action there. And then finally, this is Drex. And I really like Drex's skull shield. I've always liked Drex's skull shield. And I really like, I suppose these might have been tattoos. I like the skull on the chest. Not quite sure how that's stuck on there. Maybe he's got it like glued onto him. But yeah, absolutely like these spiky bits. And then choppy battle-matic action. Now, what always confused me as a kid was when I was very little, you didn't really realise when you were watching the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon that it was actually all based on a role-playing game. And while Warduke and Strongheart, they did end up in the cartoon, as a child I was always confused why we didn't get figures like these ones. So these are the modern Hasbro ones that they've done. Because actually this was my real Dungeons and Dragons when I was a kid. But instead of getting to play with these, I instead played with these people. So they also did a line of smaller figures at the same time. So very, very little, no articulation, very, very small. But I always thought these would have been good to collect. Now I only have Strongheart out of all of them. I think there was about 8 or 9 of them. Like a multi-pack plus a couple of little individual ones, but I always thought these were very, very good. I think they would have been very useful in actually playing the game, and maybe that was what their intended purposes were. So you could get the action figures to play with, but actually if you were then going to play the game tabletop, you could use the figures to help you imagine what you were up to. But yeah, very, very cool. Thank you very much for looking. Take care.